So you just got your brand new Exway X1 board. There are definitely some essentials that you should know before getting on your board and riding. So we'll start with some basics and then kind of go from there. The first thing you want to know is, how do you charge your Exway? Well, there's a magnetic port right here. You just flip this up and then you can hook your charger straight onto that and it magnetically attaches. A thing to know about that is this light will turn red, indicating that your board is charging. This light will stay red no matter what, as long as it's connected to the charger. The charger box light is what you want to pay attention to. So red means it's charging, green on the box means it's done charging. So we recommend that you fully charge your board before you get riding the first time. The first thing that I like to do is power on the board and then power on the remote. And then download the app, the Exway board app, because that app is definitely essential to running these boards, at their full potential. So if you're brand new, charge your board up and then you can get riding. Right here, this is your speed level 1. Well, first, I guess we want to switch this, if you're in the US, to miles an hour. So to do that, power your remote back off and then power your remote back on and keep holding the button. And then scroll down using your thumb wheel into speed unit, click the button, and then move it from kilometers an hour to miles an hour. And then exit. So now you're in miles an hour. We're at 7% remote, so we definitely need to charge this guy, and it's vibrating, telling me that it's doing that. But for now, you're in speed level 1. The arrow indicates the direction that you're going, so you're going to be going forwards. If you wanted to flip the board into reverse, you can click this 3 times, and that'll flip the board backwards. Be really careful. If you leave it backwards, you're expecting the board to go forwards, and you give it some gas, you're going to go flying off the board. So we'll put it back into forward. So B is your board level, we're at 75%. R is the remote level, you're at 7%. So if you wanted to change your speed levels, you can click this button 1 time, it'll take you into level 2, and it'll show you your max 15 miles an hour. When you first get these boards, you're locked out of level 3 and 4. So if you press this button again, you're safety mode limited. If you have experience and you want to bypass that, that's where you need the app. So we'll do that now. So with your board on and your remote on, open the Exway app and then go to connecting devices and then find your Exway, and then it takes a second here. And then this is giving you the message that says that you're locked out of levels 3 and 4 until you put 10 miles onto the board. So click OK. If you want to turn that off and you are advanced and you've read the safety warnings and everything, just flip this off. It'll give you another safety warning, confirm. And now you're not limited in levels 3 or 4, so you can ride the board all the way up to 25 miles an hour or faster. So I'll walk you through these settings really quick. This is what I like to do when I get my board out. And you only have to do this once, but standby time, I like to turn this on. And I slide this all the way to 2 hours. And what that does is, if you turn the board off with your remote, it's going to turn the board into standby mode, so it won't drain too much battery. The problem is the board is still searching for a Bluetooth signal, so it will eventually drain your battery. So after 2 hours of searching for the remote, the board will fully shut off, so it won't kill your battery. Change gears while moving. I like to have that on for sure, so if I'm going towards a big hill and I want to ride up on level 4, you can shift on the fly to level 4. Free mode. This is when you scroll the remote backwards and the wheels will actually spin backwards. So some people really like that feeling of being able to roll past where they want to stop and then go into reverse. That's the way to do that. I personally don't like free mode, but to each their own. So I leave that one alone. Cruise control, this is if you're going less than 20 kilometers an hour, you can double tap the remote and it'll do cruise control. In my experience with cruise control, I'm also not really a huge fan of this. It's tough if you're working with hills. The board is not really great at maintaining the speed, but we do know a few people who really enjoy this feature, so feel free to play around with that. Turbo is available on the X1 Pro, so if you're advanced and you want the board to go 30 miles an hour, click that guy on. Wheel size on the X1 Pro is 85 millimeters, so we'll slide this guy all the way up here. And then if you keep scrolling down, you get into power mode. This is for your hub motor and Riot, which is coming out here pretty soon. We'll go into that later. Your curves right here, your acceleration curves, it comes in default, so you're using 13% of the acceleration in first gear and so on all the way through. This is a pretty easy sort of setting. So again, if you're new, I wouldn't really change this stuff. But if you're advanced, you can go up here and you can really dial this in. So you can go into race mode, which puts the acceleration curves way up and makes your board much faster. If you want the board to go as fast as it can possibly go and you're a speed demon, put that fourth gear curve all the way up. It's important to know that if you do kind of start messing around with these acceleration curves, it's definitely going to decrease your range. So if you're the guy that wants to get the full 15 miles out of the X1 Pro and you turn this fourth gear curve all the way up, you're definitely not going to get 15 miles. So we encourage you to kind of mess around with these acceleration curves and kind of get the range that you want. So if I'm going on a group ride and I know I'm going to need that excessive range, then I'll dial the fourth gear curve all the way back and just ride a little bit more controlled. For the short trips though, I like that all the way up. Again, put this in race mode and then turn that thing all the way up. And then here, brake curves, it's essentially the same thing. I like to have a rock brake on level 4, so have that turned all the way up. But again, we encourage you to kind of dial these in. After that, you can save your settings. Always remember to do this, otherwise it won't work. And then I skipped over it, but the first thing that you should do when you connect this device is check to make sure that you are on the latest firmware. So go to firmware upgrade. We just upgraded this board, so it should be totally up to date, and it'll tell you. So once this opens and reads the firmware, it says it's the latest version. So just click that, it'll take you back into your settings. Then you can dial them in however you want. And this has my save settings from before. So again, this is how I like it. So save settings and exit. If you're on an Android, the app does not really exit by pushing up and up. So just hit this back button and then confirm you want to exit. That'll take you out of the app. Then you can scroll up, and that totally exits you out of your app. Once you're done dialing in your board, I always like to check everything, just make sure that everything looks like it's running okay. So we'll go from level 1 to mode 2, 15 miles an hour max, level 3, 22 miles an hour max, level 4, 25, and then take it with a grain of salt, because 25 mile an hour max, even though it says it there, we're gonna get this thing going way faster than 25 miles an hour. So this one at 75% is gonna be going 29 miles an hour. And your weight makes a difference, but not as big of a difference as you think. If I hopped on this board right now, I'd be getting close to 27. So everything looks like it's running well. I'm gonna go for a ride. Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave comments below, like, and subscribe.